Question 2, when did you understand that it was so strong? Actually, my family and I were taking a nap because I have a 2-year-old daughter and it was her nap time. And since there was no power, there was no electricity, and there was no cell phone signal, there was nothing else to do but to nap with her. I even was wearing earmuffs too, so that I couldn't hear the sound of the rain and I could fall asleep well. But even with my earmuffs, I woke up and heard that the sound was very strong. So I woke up around 1 p.m. and we realized it was really strong. We all woke up and we were looking outside the windows, and the trees outside our house were starting to sway. Like the whole tree was starting to sway back and forth, and we saw smaller trees getting uprooted, and the sounds were getting stronger. Water slowly, as time went by, at the peak of the storm, water was coming inside the house from the windows, and we couldn't see outside the windows because there was mud and leaves flying on the windows, so you couldn't see outside. But we could hear the roof of, we didn't know if it was our house or the houses outside, but we could hear the metal roofs coming off. And that's when we realized that it was really strong, and there was no way or no time to go anywhere else and to get out. All we could do really was to pray and stay put. How did you manage? Question 3, how did you manage to protect yourselves and family? So when we realized that the storm was getting worse, and finally we heard the roof of our house blow away, my husband was saying, our roof is gone, our roof has gone. Actually, I forgot to say, when I woke up from the nap and saw my longboards were well strapped in and could usually stay on when there were stronger rains. My longboards were flying, and I wanted to save them. And when I wanted to save them, go outside the house and put them somewhere or bring them inside the house, my husband said, the winds are 200, who knows more, kilometers per hour. You are going to die when you go outside the house for a longboard. So no, you stay inside. And then I slowly realized that it was not just a normal storm. So finally, when we realized that the roof of our house has flown away and we only have a cheap plywood ceiling and water started coming in, we realized that maybe the wind would be strong enough to even make the ceiling fly off or fall into the house. So we had one table inside the house, and we wore helmets, wore our rain jackets, brought my daughter, my dog, myself, and my husband and I under the table to protect ourselves, just in case there was worse that could happen. Actually, even when we were in the house, we could hear voices. We could hear voices outside, and I thought it was rescue. So I was thinking, there's rescue, there's somebody who's gonna take us out and bring us somewhere safer. So my husband whistled, and then the people were shouting. We heard voices shouting, people here, people here. Apparently it was locals who lost their houses and ran into the fields of coconut, who found shelter under our surfboard shack. They were freezing and cold and shaking and had nowhere else to go. And yeah, we let them in even if our house was already falling apart. And then we realized that, some people have completely lost their homes, and at least we still had something. And when they said that they thought that they were gonna die from the falling coconuts and the wind and everything, then we realized that it was really serious. But actually, I was telling my husband that I think when we saw those people shaking, we started to give them warm clothes and water and food. We realized it kept us distracted from how bad it was, because they were helping mop the floor and keep the house from flooding. So I think that distracted us from how bad it really was. We only realized how bad it was when we walked outside the house, but couldn't think about it because we could only go out. That's question number 5. Question number 5 Number 4. What was the scenario when the storm passed? What did you watch first and made you impressed? So when the storm passed, it was around 5 p.m. and it was starting to get dark. And we thought that we would stay inside the house, but everything was wet on the floor. The mattress was wet. Nothing was left dry. And I was thinking we would sleep there, but I thought there's no way I would want my daughter to experience such a wet, cold night. So I told my husband to look for shelter outside, and luckily across the street there was a place to stay where the accommodation had 2 floors and the lower floor had a concrete ceiling. So the room was dry, there was an available room, and we got to stay there. We didn't really see what was outside because it was already evening. We just wanted to get out, get in there. We knew there was no power, it was going to be dark, and stay there. We saw the aftermath of the typhoon and the effects of the typhoon in the morning at sunrise after not sleeping the whole night because we were scared that there was still more coming. We woke up around maybe 5:30 and it was already bright, and it was actually a beautiful sunrise. And then that's when we saw our street had no more coconut trees. All the small houses were blown away. There was nothing left. And that's when we realized that it was really, really strong and totally affected the island and ruined so many homes. Well, to be honest, the scenario, so everyone was walking on the streets. We in our neighborhood, you know, the locals always in the morning are saying hi and good morning to each other, but I think in the morning everyone was walking on the streets looking at the destruction. There was no way to go around by motorbike because so many trees were on the ground, and everyone was just looking around and checking on each other. And actually, Filipinos happy that we are all alive. Our neighbor was even shaving. He was even shaving under his destroyed house. There was not really crying. If there was, people didn't really show it. Everyone just started to work right away. Everyone was trying to clear the road, picking up pieces from their house, drying clothes, trying to rebuild roofs as soon as they can because it might rain again or from the sun. So everyone was just moving and working to do something about what happened right away. Number 5, how was your business affected? My business, which is surf tours and surf lessons and surf teaching and surf guiding, it's gone. All the business are affected in Siargao. We mainly depend on tourism, restaurants, surfing, hotels. It's gonna affect everyone. We've just started recovering from COVID. We've had no really tourism for the last 2 years, and finally this month, December, tourism started to pick up, tourism in the Philippines, because local travel is allowed. We're still waiting for international travel to be allowed, but businesses started to pick up, people are taking lessons, and then this really what the locals say will bring Siargao back to zero. That's what people were saying on the roads that morning. The morning after, local surfers were shaking their heads and saying, Siargao is back to zero. We're back to zero. Number 6, are you guys having support from the government and from other external helps? As for help, I was there for 5 days before my family was evacuated. I would say that I personally did not see any form of help in all the days that we were there. Now that I'm here and I can see what the private sector is doing, so private organizations, non-government organization, resort and business owners who are left in Siargao Island or who have connections to people in Siargao Island, I see that there's a lot moving. There's water, there's more water, medicine, doctors are flying in, solar lights, solar panels, generators, food, I see that happening and moving from the private sectors, where relief arrives on the island in Siargao and goes directly and right away to the people. So that's all I can say. That's what I have seen, and that's what I know personally. 7, do you want to say something to the international surf community? I just want to say Siargao, has welcomed so many people from around the world. And if you have met Filipinos, and if you have met local surfers, or even just locals who live in Siargao, I'm pretty sure that they have welcomed you with open arms and have made you feel safe at home. They share with you whatever they have, even if they don't have much. And I would just like to say that this is the time to please help them. Please give your support. Please don't forget us just because we're not on the international news. The reason why I'm here and why I'm doing this and getting the word out as much as possible is that hopefully the world will know about what happens. I don't actually understand. A lot of people don't understand why this is not getting on international media, because it's a big deal. It has destroyed, Typhoon Odette has destroyed so many islands in the Philippines. And I don't know if we can do it by ourselves. We need more manpower. We need more donations. Children and people are dying from diarrhea, amoebiasis, dehydration, and we need help. And we know that if we work together, we can get help and get things moving faster. So yeah, all I can say is, if you can please help, one, by spreading the word. Please don't only remember Siargao as a surfing destination when it was good, but also when we need you. And second, if you could help the organizations that are getting the help directly to the people, please send your help or money or donations to them. We need water, clean drinking water, medicine for the children, food, construction materials for homes, solar energy, volunteers, manpower. That is what we need. So thank you very much, and in behalf of the people of Siargao Island, salamat Karajao for your help and for listening to our story.